100 days, that's it. That's what's left before Grand Theft Auto 6 is scheduled to land on November 19th. Let's be clear about something up front. Rockstar has shown gameplay. It says Trailer 2 was captured entirely in-game from a PlayStation 5, with equal parts gameplay and cutscenes. That footage is real. But across Rockstar's trailers, the shootouts, drives, and chases appear as short fragments. What Rockstar hasn't shown is one sustained, clearly player-controlled stretch where you can watch a single decision turn into a consequence. And that gap is why we still can't judge how Grand Theft Auto 6 actually plays. Think about a simple moment from the footage. Jason walks out of a room, or Lucia steps off a porch and back into the world. What you haven't seen is what's actually on screen while that's happening. Across the official trailers and screenshots, there is no persistent normal gameplay HUD, menu flow, or contextual interaction prompt. That does not mean the final game lacks any of those things. It means Rockstar has not shown how the game communicates with you from one moment to the next. And that matters in ordinary play. We genuinely don't know how the game is going to talk to you moment to moment. How you'll know a cop's onto you before it's too late. How you'll know what you're carrying before you need it. Little things, except they're not little at all. They're the information you'd be using constantly while you play. And that's really just the first crack. Because the interface not being shown is one thing. Whether the person controlling that walk out the door is even the person you'd expect, that's a whole different question. Across Rockstar's footage, Jason and Lucia repeatedly show up together. Driving together, fighting together, standing in a room together. It's clearly a two-person story, that much is obvious. What's never been clear is what that actually means when a controller's in your hand. Is one of them controlled while the other acts as a partner? Can control move between them? Rockstar hasn't said, and nothing in the trailers or screenshots answers it. None of those shots identifies who you're controlling or whether control moves between them. And this isn't a small detail to leave hanging. This is basically asking who you are for the entire game. If control can move between them, that could change how missions get built, how you'd plan a job, and which position matters in a given moment. If it doesn't, the partnership has to work differently. Two people constantly on screen together, and we still don't know what that partnership looks like once you're the one holding the controller, which honestly makes the next question hit different. Because knowing who's in control doesn't matter much if you don't know what happens the second that control gets tested. Picture the setup right before something goes wrong. You're about to walk into a job, or you spot a car worth stealing, or a cop's about to notice you. In real life, that's the moment you'd think about what you're carrying. What's in your hands right now? What else you've got on you? Whether you should swap something out before things get loud. We've seen plenty of guns in this game. Screenshots full of them. Trailer shots of Jason and Lucia firing, reloading, running with weapons drawn. So the guns exist, that's not in question. Rockstar hasn't demonstrated the part before the shooting. We haven't seen final weapon selection, confirmed carried inventory limits, or the flow of concealment, looting, and storage. The weapons are already in hand once the action starts. And that's a real gap, because preparation is where decisions happen. Anyone who's spent time in an open-world game knows the difference between having violence available and choosing equipment that changes how a situation plays out. Right now, we can't tell how GTA 6 handles that choice. We've seen the trigger being pulled. We haven't seen the decision that came before it. Now the separate unknowns start colliding. The interface tells you what's happening. The control model determines who can act. The weapon system defines your options. A police response is where all three get tested at once. So let's say it actually happens. You've picked a fight you shouldn't have, or a cop rolls up at the wrong moment, or you just got sloppy. That's the sequence GTA players still haven't been shown. Not a shot of a cop car in a trailer, not a screenshot of flashing lights. The whole thing, start to finish, one continuous stretch. Here's what we've actually got. We've got cops in the footage, plenty of them, parked, driving, standing around in the background of half a dozen shots. We've got action, gunfights, chases, vehicles getting chased down streets. What we don't have is those pieces connected. Nothing shows the moment you cross the line and a cop actually reacts to you specifically. Nothing shows how that response escalates, whether it's instant chaos or something that builds. Nothing shows what losing them looks like, whether that's about breaking line of sight, finding cover, switching vehicles, or something Rockstar's built completely new for this game. And nothing shows what happens after, whether you're back in free roam right away or there's some kind of calm down, some consequence that lingers. Every one of those pieces exists somewhere in the footage. A cop here, a chase there, a gunfight somewhere else entirely. But they've always shown up as separate fragments, never stitched into one moment where you'd watch a single choice turn into pressure, and that pressure turn into an outcome. And that's really the whole problem in miniature. This is the loop every open-world game lives or dies on. It's the thing that makes a sandbox feel alive instead of just pretty. If Rockstar's built something that actually escalates in real time, something that responds to what you specifically did and how you specifically got away, that's a massive deal. If it's simpler than that, that's fine too. Plenty of games get by without a deep escalation system. But right now, we genuinely can't tell which game we're getting. We've seen every ingredient. We haven't seen them cooked together, not once, not for more than a few seconds at a time. Now zoom out for a second. Beyond the crime and the chaos, GTA 6 is clearly loaded with places and activity. We've seen nightlife, bars, beaches, businesses, boats, planes, wildlife, and whole regions of Leonida that look completely different from each other. Grass Rivers looks nothing like Vice City, which looks nothing like Port Gellhorn. The variety is real, and it's genuinely impressive. But that variety doesn't tell you how those places work and play. Rockstar has not demonstrated one continuous activity loop. Discovering something, entering or starting it, interacting, receiving an outcome, and returning to free roam. A location can look incredible without revealing what the player can actually do there. That's the difference between visible breadth and playable depth, and it's not a small distinction. A world can look enormous and still feel thin if most of it turns out to be scenery, or it can be exactly as deep as it looks. Right now, there's no way to tell which one Leonida is going to be. We've seen its scale and variety. We haven't seen what living inside it actually feels like. All of those systems still have to feel right through a controller. Trailer 2 is an edited montage captured entirely in-game from a PlayStation 5. That gives us a real look at the visual target on that console, but it cannot establish final frame rate, responsiveness, or consistency during ordinary player control. Those qualities only become clear over time. A selected shot can show detail, lighting, crowds, and animation. It cannot show how quickly the game responds when the player changes direction, aims under pressure, moves from an interior into a busy street, or keeps control during a pursuit. The trailer looks good. The unanswered question is how that presentation holds together while someone is making decisions instead of watching an edit. Image quality and control feel are two completely different claims, and right now we've only really seen one of them: the missing interface. The unclear control between Jason and Lucia, the weapons we've seen fired but never chosen, the cops shown in isolated fragments, the world that's clearly enormous but untested as something you'd actually live inside, the performance question sitting quietly underneath all of it. Taken one at a time, those look like 6 separate unknowns. They're not. Every single one of them is really the same gap wearing a different costume. It's not that the HUD, a chase, or an interior is the whole answer. It's that nothing we've been given has run long enough, uninterrupted, to show one decision turn into the next thing and the thing after that. The interface could explain itself under pressure. The character control question could become clearer once we see who the player controls through a sustained sequence. The police loop, the weapon choice, the activity, all of it could click into place if one ordinary stretch of play was allowed to keep going instead of cutting away. That's the actual thing missing, not gameplay, continuity. And that gives you something you can actually use going forward, way more useful than just waiting to be told. Next time Rockstar puts anything out, don't ask whether it looks like gameplay. Ask whether it stays on one moment long enough to show you what happens because of it. A player does something, and the camera just stays there and lets you watch what that decision costs or earns. That's the whole test. Everything else is still just fragments, no matter how good those fragments look. Rockstar's got an extended look scheduled for August 27th. Rockstar hasn't promised a full gameplay demonstration, and it's smart not to assume one is coming. But it is the next official presentation, and the standard stays the same. Does a player action remain on screen long enough for us to see its consequence? Whatever happens there, that's what we'll be watching for.